Well, greetings once again to my fellow horror fanatics. Your host has been absent for a little while. I do apologize. As always, life gets at you. But I felt compelled to make this response video to a rumor that broke over the weekend that Bill Skarsgard has been cast to play Eric Draven in a remake of The Crow. And I'm just going to say outright that as a big fan of the original movie with Brendan Lee and the comic book by James O'Barr, I really don't think this is a good idea. And it's no disrespect to Bill Skarsgård. He blew me away as Pennywise. He's very talented. And hey, if anyone could do a good job, it's got to be him. But I just don't think you can really do that. You can't replicate the original for so many reasons. Starting with the obvious. You can't separate out The Crow from the tragedy of what happened to Brandon Lee. Which, for anyone remotely oblivious, I may as well just state, he was tragically killed on set filming the movie when a projectile shot out of a prop gun and it killed him. And unfortunately, that is just going to loom large over any follow-up. I mean, The Crow had a few sequels and even a TV miniseries that lasted one season. And let's be honest, they all effing sucked. But a big part of that is just how do you equate that kind of mystique? It's like watching The Dark Knight. You can't not see Heath Ledger's Joker as almost a living ghost right in front of your eyes. And I don't see how any modern production, well, any production period, can hope to replicate that quasi-mysticism. But moving on, frankly, the indication they are going to be, quote, more truthful to the comic. I think that's an even worse idea. And again, I'm saying this as someone who loves the comic, but without giving any spoilers to anyone away, if you're going to tell it in the disjointed style of its original publication, you are doing a great disservice. James O'Barr himself has said that the movie actually improved by telling the story linear style, so you know what the character of Eric's motivations are. Because in the comic, well, until you learn why he's doing the things he does, he's actually not so likable. He's downright vicious, mean, merciless while he's hunting these gang members down. At times, he's so cruel, you feel sorry for the thugs. That's not a good thing to try to capture on film. You've got to tell it linear style, so we know what Eric's motivations are, so we empathize with him. But going beyond even that, I'm gonna probably catch so much hell for saying this. I think there's elements of The Crow that have not aged well. And I mean that in all terms. The movie, the comics, let's start with the fact that the gangs, how they're portrayed,
Look what you've done to my sheets.
Yeah, something like that. Color me nostalgic or naive, but yeah, I'm not gangsta. I wasn't born in the hood, but I did live in New York City in the 80s, and I don't remember gangs ever looking like hairband rejects. So yeah, the way the gangs are depicted, it's not exactly timely, doesn't hold up very well. And beyond that, simply The Crow, well, it's definitely a product of its time. It is like the peak of that dark, gritty era of comics in the late 80s and early 90s. And done so very, very well. Like, that comic bleeds aggression, sheer passion and power, and why wouldn't it? It was James O'Barr's way of mourning the death of his girlfriend killed in a car accident, but yeah, there's some cliches there that they're a little eye-rolling with the perspective of time. Sensibilities do change. And finally, beyond all else, I'm just going to say that, Skarsgård's not physically untalented. Again, as Pennywise, he definitely displayed a good physicality, but Brandon Lee was an action star. Okay, he had done kung fu films. I mean, his dad was fucking Bruce Lee. So he was born to be able to portray a character physically with gestures and body language. Skarsgard, I'm not so sure. I mean, ultimate judgment has to await until we see the end result, but yeah, there's no comparing his physicality to Brandon Lee's. And in fact, James O'Barr also said he felt Brandon Lee brought an element of campiness, almost a slapstick humor to the character that dramatically improved it, making Eric a much more likable character, easy to get behind. And I don't know if you're going to stay true to the comic that you're going to be able to replicate that. So ultimately, yeah, I think The Crow is just kind of a really unique time capsule of its time that it's really better left buried. I know a lot of people are going to disagree and they're going to flame me to hell, but I just had to put it out there. Anyway, I want to apologize for my recent absence, folks. You know, just kind of got a little lost in here, maybe a little in here too. But I'm glad you're still continuing to watch, and subscribe. I hope you will support some of my views. And yeah, I've got more content coming up. Rested a bit, getting ready to gear back up. As always, I just want you to urge you all to, look after each other, take care of each other, because Leaping Lovecraftian gods knows it's scary times out there right now. We could all use a little positivity, even in a place like my horror dungeon. So, as always, folks, I urge you to eat, drink, and be scary, and I will see you next time.